This is Matthew Kratter's Bitcoin University. Today I want to talk about billionaires boosting Bitcoin, and this tweet in particular, this interview in which billionaire Michael Saylor is reposting a tweet by billionaire Michael Dell, who himself is highlighting an interview with another billionaire, Larry Fink of BlackRock, who happens to run the world's largest and most important asset manager, which is BlackRock, of course. And all three billionaires are laser focused on Bitcoin. Maybe your drunken uncle who rants about Bitcoin being a scam every Thanksgiving should start paying attention soon. Michael Dell has a net worth north of $100 billion. And there's some evidence that people like him have been quietly accumulating Bitcoin for years. It's certainly possible given the fact that as early as July 2014, his company Dell Computers was beginning to accept Bitcoin as payment. I hadn't realized this. Other than this, I can't find any public announcements that he's accumulated Bitcoin, but it's extremely likely at this point. If you're enjoying this video so far, just take a quick break here to ask you to please subscribe, like, comment, share, and also consider joining the channel as well and getting some free badges and emojis and a couple extra free videos every month. Now, Larry Fink's careful sales pitch in this CNBC interview, which Michael Dell has retweeted, he makes a couple of interesting points that I want to highlight in this video. And this really is a sales pitch for many different people and why they should be interested in Bitcoin, and in particular, the BlackRock Bitcoin Spot ETF. Larry Fink in this interview with CNBC says, Bitcoin is a legitimate financial instrument that allows you to have maybe uncorrelated, non-correlated type of returns. I think this is very, very important to hear these words from his lips. You and I probably don't need to hear it at this stage, but this definitely legitimizes Bitcoin for a lot of people, calling Bitcoin a legitimate financial instrument. And this really gives the Larry Fink blessing to RIAs and other financial planners to safely recommend Bitcoin to clients. You can always say, Larry Fink says it's okay, and so it is okay. He also alludes to the fact that Bitcoin offers maybe uncorrelated, non-correlated returns. Assets with returns that are uncorrelated to traditional assets like stocks and bonds really are a holy grail for portfolio diversification. You want things that zig while the rest of your portfolio is zagging. This is not something I really worry about anymore, but it's hard to overemphasize how important this is in the world of portfolio construction. And Larry here is saying the magical words, uncorrelated, non-correlated. Now, in reality, Bitcoin has gone through periods where it's more correlated with equities and also periods where it's less correlated with equities. Central bank money printing has this way of pumping most assets that are denominated in the currency that's being printed. And so you have a tendency for real estate, stocks, bonds, everything to pump at once, including Bitcoin. But we still have various periods of correlation depending how you measure it. But the real point here is that Larry Fink is saying the magic words, as we said, uncorrelated, non-correlated, even if he hedges his statement with a weasel word like maybe to give him legal cover in case it's not actually always uncorrelated. Larry Fink goes on to say Bitcoin is an instrument that you invest in when you're more frightened, though. It's an instrument when you believe that countries are debasing their currency by excess deficits, and some countries are. And the way he says this, you can tell he's talking about the U.S. He hints at U.S. deficits being monetized by Fed money printing, where the U.S. government's not bringing in enough in taxes, so it needs to issue bonds, and at the margin, those bonds being bought by the central bank and put on the central bank's balance sheet and being bought with freshly printed money. This is what it means to debase the currency through excess deficit spending and the debt issuance and money printing that follows in the wake. Larry Fink goes on to say, I believe we have countries where you're frightened of your everyday existence, and Bitcoin is an opportunity to invest in something that is outside of your country's control. I think this was an interesting statement, but I would say that owning a Bitcoin IOU, like the BlackRock Spot ETF, where the real Bitcoin is stored at Coinbase custody under U.S. jurisdiction and regulation, is probably not the smartest thing you can do if you're worried about evil governments. We're really at ground zero here when it comes to evil governments. That being said, it is an opportunity to own an asset if you're going to own the real thing that will be outside of your country's control. Fink goes on to say, if you want to hedge hope, Bitcoin is not an instrument for hope. Unless you're hopeful, you're going to make a lot of money on it. I think this shows how Larry Fink really hasn't gone that deeply down the Bitcoin rabbit hole yet. And Larry Fink is here obviously still valuing his wealth in fiat and other people's wealth in fiat. Bitcoin is not just a way to make a lot of money, though it can be that too. Bitcoin really is the end goal. It is the money that you're going to want to have forever. So accumulating a lot of money means accumulating a lot of Bitcoin no matter what price you pay for it. You should value your wealth in Bitcoin, not fiat. And one of the goals that I set myself at the outset of the last bear market was to end up with more Bitcoin at the end of the bear market than I had at the beginning, not even worrying about the fiat value of that Bitcoin. And I think this is an important way to approach Bitcoin accumulation. Value your wealth in Bitcoin, not in fiat, which is very volatile. If you want to hedge hope, Larry Fink goes on to say, if you want to hedge hope, Bitcoin is not an instrument for hope unless you're hopeful you're going to make a lot of money on it. I think this is obviously not true. We have the wonderful website hope.com. Bitcoin is hope. This is Michael Saylor's website. And this is actually a great resource. It's really been built out since the last time I took a look at it. If you want a lot of good Bitcoin material, you can check it out. And I'm flattered to be included among the educators on this site. So be sure to check out hope.com because Bitcoin definitely is hope. Bitcoin is hope for the global unbanked. Bitcoin is hope for people who live in weak fiat currency systems who would not otherwise be able to store their economic energy for the long term. Bitcoin is hope for activists who work under totalitarian regimes that have tried to cut off all funding to them. And Bitcoin is also hope for you and me. Bitcoin takes the black pill and turns it into a white pill for those living through the fourth turning and really allows many of us to opt out and not follow things like politics as closely as we used to. Bitcoin becomes our politics. Bitcoin came on the scene in 2008 and 2009, just as the Fed was beginning to embark on endless money printing, and just as the wheels were beginning to come off of the U.S. political system and American global geopolitical dominance. Bitcoin is hope now for 8 billion humans and their progeny. But if you want to be able to experience the purest form of that hope, don't buy the BlackRock ETF or any other spot ETF or futures ETF. Buy real Bitcoin and learn to hold your own private keys on a cold card hardware wallet or a Blockstream Jade hardware wallet and learn how to run your own node as well. This is how you'll get the fullest expression of the hope that Bitcoin offers humanity. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the subscribe and like buttons. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I publish my next video. And let me know your questions and comments in the comment section below. Thanks all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.